What's up, YouTube? We're gonna have a little discussion today. Today, I wanted to talk about how yo-yo contests, especially national and world contests, are set up to sell more yo-yos and why that's a good thing. Let's talk. So, national contests, world contests, set up so that the performers who do the videos and do the freestyles that will then be seen by the most people and sell the most yo-yos, the scoring system is set up so that those players will win. And that's excellent. And that's the way it should happen. Hear me out on this. So, yo-yoing, whether intentionally or not, is sort of set up in a very similar way to the way WWE or wrestling is set up. Wrestling, yes, wrestling's predetermined, yo-yoing is not. And please don't take this as a negative. It's not a negative at all. It's just genius and brilliance. So, wrestling is set up so that the guy who is the champion, except for now, because Brock Lesnar's the champion, nobody's seen him in like 3 months. But anyway, the guy who is the champion is the leader of the locker room. The guy who is the champion is also usually the guy who's selling the most t-shirts, getting the most butts in the seats, and helping to grow the brand the most. Now, that's not always 100% the case, like I said right now. That's clearly not the case with Brock Lesnar not being the champion and him not being there, but he is a draw for pay-per-views of outside sources, so I can see that. But for the most part, the guys who are the biggest draws are the guys who are going to be showcased the most. And within the yo-yo world and yo-yo competitions, the guys who are showcased the most are the guys who are going to win the contest. So it makes sense to set up the rules, particularly for the largest contests, that the guys who win the contests are also the guys who are going to put on the performances that get the most outside yo-yo community views. So this year, Evan won, and Evan blew the roof off the place. Literally, it was awesome to watch. Gentry came in second, put on a very good performance, and then Nate Daly came in third, also put on a really good performance, and those three guys put on the performances that those videos will probably be watched more on YouTube and have a bigger chance to go viral than, say, just about anybody else's. Now, that's not to say that they had the densest tricks or the best tricks or anything. They just had the best overall performances. That's like to say Hulk Hogan in the 80s was the champion for a long time. He wasn't always the best wrestler in the ring. He could go, and he was a solid worker, and he put together solid matches. But there were tons of guys who were way more technically savvy and just put on better matches than he did. For instance, WrestleMania 3, he fought Andre the Giant. That's the legendary match you hear about. However, if you're a wrestling nerd, you know that Macho Man versus Steamboat was really the classic of the night. But the same thing goes with yo-yo contests. Now, that's not to say that the guys who won aren't deserving of the spectacle, of their titles. They absolutely are, especially Evan. Evan's trick density is just phenomenal, and I really think he sets the bar up higher than it ever has been, especially for the way US scoring in yo-yo contest goes. I feel like Evan's sort of like got the best of everything. That being said, let's kind of go back a little bit and see how we got here and why it's a good thing and why it's going to be a good thing moving forward. Because I think you're going to agree with me on this if you listen to the whole thing. So hear me out. So let's talk about Jensen Kimmett. Kind of the first guy to sort of break through this. Think of your favorite Jensen Kimmett freestyles. They're amazing to watch. Not only are they amazing to watch because the tricks are incredible, but his way of sort of playing the crowd and reacting to the crowd's cheers and stuff and being able to get those pops within those freestyles is sort of just seamless, and he did a great job at it. Jensen's was one of he was everybody's favorite yo-yo player for the longest time, and he's still kind of a lot of people's favorite yo-yo player, deservedly so. He's great. He's a great dude. He's a great yo-yo player. He makes great yo-yos now. Awesome. Sort of just a gem of the yo-yo community. But Jensen really figured it out. And when he did figure it out and those videos started to go viral and what have you, Yo-Yo Factory sold a lot of North Stars. And they sold a lot of Proto Stars too when they sold out of North Stars. And then, when Jensen moved to CLYW, they sold a lot of those yo-yos as well. And not only did they sell a lot of those are still super, super collectible. So, that was sort of the start of it, where sort of the most savvy business yo-yo minds went, we got something here. And, you know, so move on a couple of years later, let's talk about Gentry Stein. So I like Gentry. I've always been a fan of his freestyles. I always watch them. That's just saying something, because I don't watch everybody's freestyles. I'm into playing yo-yos and talking about them. I'm not necessarily always into watching. But I watch what Gentry does. Even if he doesn't do it all the time, I watch what he does, because it's entertaining. And whether you love him or you don't like him or whatever, you can't say that you don't watch, because you do. And the numbers behind the videos are there. So Gentry's had several signatures, but let's talk about the shutter. Let's talk about the Replay Pro. So I've had several shutters in all varieties. I've got an OG shutter and a wide angle right now, but I've also had a Shuta. And I've had several Replay Pros throughout time. And I've had some of the other Gentry signatures as well. Some of the older ones. So, you know, I've sort of played everything Gentry has ever put his name on. And that's really just a testament to him and how entertaining his freestyles are. So he was the national champion, and he was a world champion, and he won nationals with a Replay Pro, which then, I mean, seriously, do you not have a Replay Pro? I talk about how good it is all the time, because it's really good. So you put a good yo-yo with a yo-yo player that's going to get a lot of eyes on him, you sell a lot of that yo-yo. Think about how many everybody has Replay Pro and or a shutter. Probably and a shutter. Gentry's just been that good at it. Now he's won nationals 2 times, he's won worlds once, and he's really just, by him performing well and him putting together freestyles to get a lot of views, both from guys within the community and people outside of the community, he sold a lot of yo-yos. A ton of yo-yos. So many. Like, how many shutters get sold? It must be just a ton. I know guys with like 4 or 5 shutters. Tons of shutters get sold because Gentry's so freaking good. Here, look, see, I have a shutter. Here's mine. How cool is this colorway too, by the way? But yeah, everybody's got shutter. Everybody's got Replay Pros. Everybody buys shutters and Replay Pros and gives them to your friends because they're like, here, this is a great starting point. Go from here. This is a good one, all around. Nothing bad to say about it. You know, there's people that hate it. Oh, it plays like it's dead, or it doesn't play fun, it's not floaty, it's just a rock or whatever. Lots of people have hate on it, but truth be told, it's a solid yo-yo. And it's a yo-yo that's sort of stood the test of time. You know, for a $45 yo-yo that came out 4 years ago, it's still really good. And Gentry still uses the wide angle version, which in my opinion is better. But it's still pretty much this shape, just wider and lighter. Super good. So, you know, Gentry was sort of the guy that kind of came out and, like, sold the yo-yos. Like, he kind of, I don't want to say, like, started a new yo-yo boom, but, like, again, like I said, think about how many shutters got moved. You have one. I know you have at least one. Don't lie to me. Anyway, so moving on from Gentry, they tried to do the same thing with Zach Gormley. Zach, I feel like with the Borealis, Zach did really well, and Zach's had several signatures, Arctic Circles, etc. And Zach's moved some yo-yos. Don't get me wrong. Zach has moved some yo-yos. I've got some Boreali. Anyway, I've got the new one. I've got the old one. I have an Arctic Circle. I have an AC2, and they're great yo-yos. And Zach's moved some good yo-yos for yo-yo people. That being said, I don't think necessarily the Borealis or any of Zach's signatures have had the success, or at least the volume of success, the shutter has had. So recently there's been more tweaks with the way that particularly American yo-yo contests have been scored, at least on the national level. And then, you know, I assume it will be kind of rolled over into the world level as well. But particularly on the national level, it really, the finals portion, now yes, trick density and all that stuff comes very much into play all the way through prelims and everything like that, but when it comes to the final, you know, you get an extra minute to really sort of showcase your freestyle and your showmanship. Showmanship is a big deal, and a lot of that has to do with going back to Gentry and Jensen, because their showmanship was incredible, and that got a lot more kids into yo-yo, and that sold a lot more yo-yos. So moving on now, as more and more tweaks happen, you see less of that Zach Gormley style, because while yes, it moved yo-yos to those of us who were already in the community, it didn't broaden the community as much, especially because those yo-yos were also very expensive. With, you know, your $45 shutter or your $15 Replay Pro, it makes it very, very accessible to new players. You know, where the Zach Gormley signatures were like $120 and so on and so forth. So yes, I realize the Big Dipper is like $30, but still, pulling it back here, it's not a $15 Replay Pro, and it's not, you know, a plastic yo-yo is not a shutter. It's not a $45 shutter. So, you know, there was that as well. Now, moving on to present day. Let's talk about Evan. And this is not a knock on Evan, because I feel like Evan has raised the bar. I love Evan. I think Evan is a great dude. He interacts with the community very well. Every contest I've ever been to where Evan was, both at East Coast Masters and at National, Evan was in the audience the whole time. At Nationals, he didn't even have to be there until Sunday. He didn't have a freestyle, but he was there every day, interacting with kids, showing them tricks, signing people's yo-yos, just talking to people and interacting with the community, because he is an awesome dude. At East Coast Masters, he flew out to Pittsburgh, hung out with us for like 5 days, and judged the contest, performed for us, and just was generally awesome, scored everything, showed up early, stayed the whole time, did a video with me. I mean, I really can't say enough good things about Evan and how many good things he's done for the community since he's been national champion a year ago. Dude is just awesome, wears the title well, is an incredible member of our community, and he grows and matures with it in space. So I gotta give it up to Evan. But last year, his video, when he won nationals, which very deserved, great win. It was very clean. It was a great freestyle. I watched it several times, and I watched it live, and just really enjoyed it. It went viral, super viral, more viral than we've seen for national yo-yo contests in the past. After that happened, yes, Evan was playing with a $100 bimetal yo-yo. Yo-Yo Factory, in their brilliance, said, okay, we need to capitalize on this. The edge is great, it really is, but new players aren't going to just come in because they saw that freestyle, because a lot of people saw that freestyle, got millions of views, and buy that. So, enter the wedges. First, around the holidays, you get this $35 Delrin one. This one's great. Very good, awesome yo-yo. And then, shortly after that, right before Nationals this year, you get the polycarbonate one, which is $20. Still great. Really one of the best plastic yo-yos Yo-Yo Factory's ever put out. I mean, just really, like, they've just set the standard really high. And it's $20. Like, how good is this? You bought one? I know you bought one. I bought one. Everybody I know bought one, because why not? Why wouldn't you buy a good yo-yo for $20? Literally, people who design amazing yo-yos, guys who I really respect their design aspects, bought one and were like, these are amazing. Grows the community, and that's amazing. And now, here we are, right after Nationals 2018. Evan has just repeated his championship with a killer performance. It was so good. It was so good. The video is currently going viral now. It's got over 1 million views. It's going to get millions more, and it's just, it's amazing. What he did was amazing. Like, he shredded the solo to Freebirds with a yo-yo to Freebird, with a yo-yo on his knees. It was great. It couldn't have been better to see it to see it live. He got a Road Warriors pop. For those of you who don't know what a Road Warriors pop is, the Road Warriors are really were a really famous tag team back in the 80s and early 90s, and when they would come out, what a rush, people would go nuts. The crowd would explode, and that's what happened. I was in the crowd. I exploded. Not literally, but you know, I yelled. It was phenomenal, and it was, you know, it was sort of it felt like a really close race up until that point, and then when we saw what Evan was doing and how clean he was doing it, and then also how good the performance he was putting on was, we knew it was like, well, Evan wins. It's now a battle for second place, which it was. And, you know, any of the other 5 guys after him really could have been in any order, but Evan really just blew the roof off the place, and that's good. He's now set the bar higher because his trick density was still very good. You know, it may not have been like a Andrew Bergen or Colin Beckford level necessarily. I didn't actually see those final scores, although Colin posted it and they all scored pretty similarly and very high as far as that was concerned. But it was still really good, and his tricks were really clean and set to music really well, and the overall performance was just awesome. It was great to watch. It was easy to watch whether you are a avid yo-yo player, fan, collector, or just somebody who happens to stumble upon the viral video. You would love it. And I really think that the whole contest scoring system being able to kind of accommodate both those of us who are within the community and know what he's doing in some semblance of how dense and how good his actual and how difficult his actual tricks are, plus the whole performance aspect of it being a large factor as well, I think is really good. And I think we're about to see probably some solid growth from that performance, and just that's really good. So for all the griping and all the complaining that happens about yo-yo contests, I really think that we've sort of ended up in a really good spot where there's going to be growth every time we have a big contest, because the guys who are chosen to be the winners are the guys who put on the best performances that are going to bring the most people into the yo-yo communities and move the most yo-yos, because that's really the only way, that's really the best way to get money into the community, is yo-yos to be moved, which gives, you know, Yo-Yo Factory or CLYW or whomever more cash on hand to then help sponsor more contests, sponsor more players, and infuse more money back into the community that's already growing, and then help it grow. And those guys love yo-yo, so they will do that. So it's really just kind of a win-win for everybody. But that's it. That's my 2 cents. What do you guys think? Am I right? Am I wrong? Is it just a fluke? What's going on? Tell me down in the comments. Love to hear what you guys think about it, because I've been thinking about this a lot, and I think that it's really cool. But thanks so much for watching, guys. Please make sure you like and subscribe. I do videos all the time. I know this one was long, but I hope you'll watch the whole thing anyway. But cheers to you. I'll see you next time.